Good morning, everyone, and it is a very good morning. I hope you guys are all enjoying this crypto pump today because, man, I sure am. I'll tell you, I got the reactions are about as predictable as you might think. Of course, I've already had people, I say, "Oh, look, Algorand's price action looks nice this morning." Yeah, but it's not blah 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 blah. It's like you can't win. You just can't win with some of these people, man. I think when things are going well, just take a win. Take a win when you get a win, right? That's what I think. Antonio Ramirez in the chat says, "Let's go Algo. Let's go Algo. Let's go H bar. Let's go XRP. They're all doing awesome. XRP is going crazy, man. It's awesome to see everything's going crazy. We are going to dive into those prices today because, man, it's time for our victory lap. It just is. It's time for our victory lap. I like to see it. I think alt season is here. I think this is the start of it. This is the start of the big pump up. So I could be wrong, but this looks very familiar. It feels very familiar. This is my third cycle. It's also the weirdest of the three cycle. We're in greed territory right now, and we've been waiting a long time for this. And I've been saying, I know you guys have been watching the channel for a while. I've been saying, watch the end of the year. If nothing happens by the end of the year, I think we're in trouble, but that's not what's happening. We're seeing great price action. We're seeing good things happening, and you just gotta be happy where it goes. Now, I will say, despite all the recent action, here's a funny little anecdote. I was waiting to have enough helium to pay my helium mobile bill, which, by the way, you guys aren't getting on that. I don't even have a referral link to that. I just think it's a great service. I've done that review. Setup was a pain in the butt, and I think they definitely need to fix their onboarding process. But once it's all set up, dude, I've been getting like almost free cell phone service. I paid I think 3 of 7 months now. I'd have to go back and double check it, but I just paid my bill. I just paid my bill with helium this morning because the price went up enough that I didn't even have to claim the new helium. I was able to pay it with the existing helium because it was worth like $17 and it went up to over 22. So it was enough to pay my bill with the taxes. It's only $20 a month too. They got new plans now, so that's actually, you can't get the $20 unlimited anymore, but they have like a $30 that's like unlimited, completely unlimited, including the data, but they also have lower tiered ones. I just think it's a great service. It's one of the only things on Solana that I would actually support. So, well, I hope everyone's doing well out there. Definitely hit, we are live on YouTube and X and Kick, and we've been having some viewers on Kick. I love to see it. And if you haven't left a chat there, if you're watching on Kick, please leave a chat. I'd love to hear from you. I do respond to chats. Sometimes they come up on my OBS window, and sometimes I have to look at the live stream playing to the right of me. So keep that in mind. But definitely want to hear from you guys today. So shout me out, and you can be number one. One gifted sub would put you at number 1 on the leaderboard. By the way, I've come to understand there's also now a leaderboard on YouTube. So if you want to do that, that's pretty cool too. I think people who chat the most might get up there, and then it also measures. I don't really totally understand how it works, to be honest. They just announced it, and basically it was opt out. So if you didn't do anything, you were opted in automatically. So yeah, let me know how that's going. We'll talk about it more as the stream progresses. In fact, you know what? I just want to pull it up for a second. I want to see what it looks like. I think that's a cool little thing that they're doing. And then, of course, on X, I can see, I don't know if the chatting is as obvious on X. I think that might be the case. But I do see them. If people chat in X, I will see it in my OBS. So I just want to pull this up. I think that's a cool little thing that they're doing. And then, of course, on X, I can see kill the audio. I don't know if the chatting is as obvious on X. There. I see a goal. I see a top fans. Okay, I see how that works. Yeah, so there is like a top fans feature, and you can get up on there on the leaderboard. I think that's kind of neat. And then I'm going to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Non-Fungible Domains. Mine's my .algo address is frugalbc.algo, and you can get yours through non-fungible domains. And they've been a great supporter of the show. They've been with us for a long time. And so I really appreciate what they do for the community. I think it's one of the better projects on Algorand. So I just like that it's like a straightforward service. Here you go. Here's your, you pay a fee, you get your .algo address, and that's the end of it. So definitely check them out in the description, which I don't think I've updated yet, but you'll see that at the end of anyone watching on replay will see that. And we're brought to you by Marcus Aurelius, which is a meme coin and Algorand, meme coin and NFT project on Algorand blockchain, spreading the word about Stoicism, which I think is really, really cool. I think Stoicism is a helpful philosophy. I heard an interesting critique on Stoicism, but I think some of this stuff just gets a little too much into the weeds, and like it's a very practical philosophy, even if you don't treat it like a philosopher exactly, if that makes sense. So anyway, definitely go check out Marcus Aurelius and check out Non-Fungible Domains, both big supporters of the show. And we do have channel memberships starting at only $1. You can get videos before anyone else. Obviously not the live stream because that's impossible, but pretty much all the other videos I make, they're actually on here first, so you get to see them first. And then higher channel member tiers, you get a few videos that no one else gets. So, well, I guess enough about that. Why don't we just get into... I'm going to go right to the markets. I got to make a new screen for this. And I think this is fascinating. So Bitcoin right now sitting under a little under 118,000. But we actually touched 119,000. So new all-time highs for Bitcoin, and that is driving everything else. We all know Bitcoin drives the price of everything else. It's no secret. Altcoin season is at 30, before it was like in the teens. So that's pretty significant. Starting to shift over a little bit to altcoin, still very much in Bitcoin territory though. And also I think it's worth noting that the fear and greed index is currently at 67, definitely into into greed territory. We're in that green zone, and it's nice to see that. Total market cap up 6.45%, sitting at $3.68 trillion. To put that in perspective, though, it's still pretty small when you think I think Nvidia's, what is Nvidia's market cap? Let's see real quick. Yeah, Nvidia's market cap is at 4 trillion. So I think when we talk like 3.6 trillion sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But when you compare it to one company's market, now this is the leading company, to be fair. It's the leading company, but that's still a very high, it's less than the biggest company's market cap. That's one company. So I think it's important to put that in perspective. But still nice to see it going up. Like I said, Bitcoin. And then we had Ethereum over 3,000. Ethereum has just sat in like a dud for a long time. It was just sitting at 2,500 and it wouldn't move. So it's interesting to see it now popping back up. 18% on the 7-day. And over the last day, it's gone up 6.6%. Nice to see. XRP, almost 27% up. It's at 282. And of all the coins, this is the one that is closest to hitting my price targets for another sell zone. Everything else is way below, and I can go through them as I go through these. Yeah, I think Solana, I think my next target is like $300, so we're ways off from that. I might have to I might actually readjust them down a little bit. We'll see. But everything, pretty much everything is up. I'm just trying to look at ones I care about. Yeah, SWI is actually getting close to where my last target was. So remember, SWI dropped to like, I think it was like $2 maybe. It dropped a long ways. And that's up like 22% on the 7-day, almost 10% on the day. Stellar Lumens, look at that, 48% on the week. That's crazy. I think I still have a little bit of Stellar. Link over $15, that's nice. I think my next target is quite a bit higher. I think it's like 35. So I'll be holding on to Link for a while. Hedera is an interesting one, up 30% on the week, 14.5% on the day. Falling back a little bit in the last hour, unlike a lot of the other crypto. That's interesting, but well over 20 cents And, considering Algorand was under 20 cents not that long ago, we're going to cover that in a second. That's pretty good. And that is about a 5x overall for me. Now, I've taken some profits on Hedera on the way up. But nice to see that anyway. Unisat Leo at $9. But that one, I've said this before, Unisat Leo tends to buck the market. So when the rest of the market is tanking, Unisat Leo is popping up. It's kind of a counter indicator. So maybe a good buy if you're looking to like an entry. Unisat Leo might not be a bad entry. Shiba Inu up to 19%. Toncoin. Let's see if there's any outliers. Uniswap up decently on the week. PayPay. Just looking for any other surprises. Near is another one that I'm like way off of my price targets. So it's like nice that it's going in the right direction, but I got a ways before I would be taking any profits on it. So it's just kind of nice to see it going up. Ondo Finance, we're going to cover some Ondo Finance news today. I wanted to go through some of that stuff because I find this project very interesting. I bought and sold a little bit, but I haven't really haven't dug too deep into it. Polygon, probably one of my worst bear market plays. I'm not even close to ever having taken profit on Polygon. Nightmare. Just looking at what else. Liberty World, it's USDC. Investor Sand says, looking forward to this algo run. Yes. Meyer Dead says, I didn't even know it was possible to buy Leo. Well, of course it would be. What do you mean? If you couldn't buy it, like, who would be... what would it be doing up here? Like, of course, someone has to be able to buy it. I don't know where you could buy it. I haven't looked into it, but I don't own any. VeChain doing okay. Mantle, Arbitrum, decent, pretty under 30%. Trump coin going up a little bit, but definitely not. This thing was at wasn't this like $54 or something like that? A Gate token. This is a new one I haven't really paid much attention to. Algorand, okay, render, yeah, Algorand up 30.6% on the week and 18% on the 24-hour. That's got to be one of the top ones we see here, sitting at 22, almost 23 cents, which it was under 20 cents not that long ago. Your dad says, let me check. There's a trick with this coin. Yeah, let me know. Let me know what you see. Well, in fact, is it not just available on an exchange? Where is that? Where did that one go? Apparently you can buy it on MoonPay and eToro. Usually there's a list, so let me just pull this up really quick. I don't want to derail things too much here. Let's just look for Central. Doesn't look like you can. I assume that Coinbase will be higher up here, so not on Coinbase, but a lot of these other ones. But yeah, you do have to. I mean, I don't have OKX or Bitfinex or any of those, so yeah, maybe it is a little tricky in terms of some of the bigger ones like Gemini or Coinbase it's not available on there. By the way, I don't know if my voice is a little breaky. I didn't get as much sleep as I usually care to, which isn't that much, but sometimes I wake up really early and it's annoying. Yeah, we'll just keep working our way down the list and looking for interesting ones. This XPX is doing pretty well. Hey, not doing so well. KuCoin token up only 3% on the week and 1% on the day. We're going to get to the ASAs too in a second. I think there's some interesting stuff going on there. But yeah, kind of the moral of the story here is everything is up. Ooh, XDC falling to 70, up only 22.85% and only 3.8%. Where is my troll Bobby Jonas? Usually he's the XDC guy. I haven't heard from him in a while. I used to get all these troll comments from him, and kind of one of my favorite little villains. Okay, something called Meme Core. It just broke its way into the top 100. It pumped 1,283%. That we got to look at this. You'll see this, you know, during bull markets, you'll see these crazy coins come out of nowhere. This is 1 year. It's been on a pretty steady rise up, whatever this meme core coin is. I never heard of it. It's like an about, isn't there? Let's see what it says. First layer 1 blockchain built for Meme 2.0, a new paradigm where meme coins transcend speculations to become engines of culture, value, and community coordination. I have no idea what that means. No idea what that means. In this new era, memes are not just content, they are currency, governance, and creative expression. So yeah, I don't know what that means. I really don't know what that means. But good for them anyway. Apparently they've got something that's been really pumping in the month. Here's the week. I mean, beginning of July, it was like 5 cents. So that is, let me do math. 15x. That's impressive. 15x in about 2 week time. Well, good for anyone who held that. Yeah, dog with hat. Like I said, one of my worst plays ever. I should probably buy in, assuming it's going to keep going up. But I'm just kind of holding on. Ricky Ricardo says, hello, chat. I'm from the moon, and I can see XRP approaching. Well, it's doing very well, as we pointed out. Having a very good week and day. And despite all that, Gala can't even get back to 2 cents. Boy, am I ever not a fan of Gala. I just think it's just one of the worst projects in crypto. It seems to be about making a lot of promises and almost never delivering on them, and then blaming the users for the fact that nothing went right. It's like, well, maybe if you make games and you actually finish the games and you supported the game developers who come on your network. Instead, they encourage this, like, let's sell several $1,000 NFTs for a game that's not released yet. And I think people are wise to that. I think they're like, yeah, we're done with this. We're not gonna spend thousands of dollars on a game that isn't out. Well, Pipe Network really fell. This Pendle too. This was like way up high, and it's really fallen a lot. Very interesting. That is the crypto market, and I want to just see who the leaders are. So over 24 hours, Meme Core, obviously, followed by Mogcoin, Story IP, Stellar, and Cardano. I will say, despite, you know, what I think is kind of a lack of development on Cardano, from what I can see, the price action has been pretty decent. Say too. Say is one of these ones. It seems to just keep going up. Nice to see Algorand number 9 in terms of the daily pump, with Radium rounding out the top 10. What about, I know Meme Core is going to be number 1 on the 7 day. Mog still Story, still XLM, still Cardano. Then say then Athena for Algorand still number, it's the same. Oh no, it's not. I don't think I hit it. Okay, now still pretty much the same, except Radium was up much higher, and we don't see Algorand on there. Pudgy Penguin's actually pretty high up. Yeah, then Hedera is 14 and Algorand is 15. I thought XRP was doing better than that, but pretty good. Definitely not complaining about that for sure. Okay, let's go over to... Let's go to the Algorand charts, because these are looking nice as well. And some really interesting stuff on here. Gora's still up. Now, Gora was doing really well before everything started pumping, and the reason for that, I think, Some people disagree with me, but I think the reason for that is Gora just announced a partnership with MasterCard. They are part of MasterCard's Sandbox as a Service platform. Very interesting. You know, I think a lot of these companies poo-pooed crypto for a while, and then suddenly they started making these crypto plays. I'm going to move this over a little bit. They started making these crypto plays and kind of quietly, and now all the stuff is starting to come out. But anyway, going back down, the Cometa is the really interesting one. We're gonna circle back to that in a second here. Tiny at 1.85 cents, and still a ways off from where I'd like it to be, but it's nice that it's going up because I personally like that, because all my DeFi is in Tiny and I'm earning rewards in Tiny. And so it's nice when that goes up because that affects how much in rewards I earn, which is a nice little cash flow thing. Polka Gold, but pretty much everything in this top, you know what, 20, 25 is up to varying degrees. Opulus is another one I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like when a company takes money from a crypto foundation, builds their business, and then takes it elsewhere and abandons the original community. If they stayed on Algorand but expanded to other ones like Folks Finance did, I think that's totally fine. In fact, maybe preferable. Ooh, Compex token took a hit though. They're like the only one too in the last 24 hours. Cameron says more about Hedera. Yeah, we'll get to more Hedera stuff. I got a whole bunch of Hedera news lined up, so just stay patient. Yeah, I really hate that Opulus is the one that's like up 24%. And by the way, a lot of these principles, they apply to all the coins. It's not just Algorand. It seems to happen on Algorand a lot, where these companies start on one chain, use the resources of that chain, they get grant money, and then they go take their ball and go home. I hate that. Commodore Israel says, love it. Yes, I got Ondo, mostly I got Ondo and Hedera news queued up, and we'll get to the Hedera news first, I think, probably. But before we do that, I want to point this one out because this is crazy. So Cometa, right around here, by the way, announced that it was closing shop. So the whole thing's going to shut down. By the way, I haven't been able to get my Nico off there, but it's like 16 bucks, so I'm not going to cry into my beer over it. But it was a lot more. And yeah, this is why I don't trust ASAs. Be always cautious about secondary tokens. In fact, okay, well, you know what? We'll look at Sauce too before we go here. And actually, Kemeldar, do you know, is there a similar platform like this for Hedera? I've been looking for one where they just track secondary coins, you know, and their ASA is on Algorand. I can't remember exactly the term for Hedera, but I've been trying to find like a similar platform. Anyway, yeah, so right around here, Cometa announced that they were closing, and for some messed up reason, the price has been pumping ever since. I don't understand it. It's very, very strange to me. You can see a lot of buying and selling. You can see some liquidity moving. I mean, you expect there to be more sell orders. And for some reason, there's still some buy orders. It's actually more selling than buying. And yet for some reason, maybe that's why it's like kind of falling down the list a little bit there, but very interesting. Yeah, hold on a second. I want to look at Sauce because Sauce was like way up at one point. Commodore says, I don't know, I'm from Belgium. I think I'm the only one that has Hedera here. I bet there's someone else. Anyway, Saucer Swap. Now, I've tried this platform out, and I've got some... It's pretty good. I don't like their V2 pools though, because for whatever reason they have to stay within a certain range. And if they go outside the range, they just stop working. And none of my Algorand ones work like that. By the way, very bullish on this on Saucer Swap. This is the last 7 days. Let's look at the year. Yeah, there was this huge spike where it was worth like almost 14 cents a piece. And I have a bunch of this from using it. So, but still pretty good. 30% on the weeks of Saucer Swap having a good week, and about day. Yeah, day's not too bad either at 14%. So good for Saucer. Howdy Arian says XRP to the moon. Yes. Yeah, I'm very happy about XRP. Like I said, one of my closest ones to getting back to my price targets. A lot of the other ones have not fared. Coin Market Cal. I can look at it. Did you mean Core Microcap where I'm at right now? Or are you talking about something different? Oh yeah, here it is. Let me take a look at it. So this one, okay, this one just looks like it's... What is going on? Oh, this is like, but they don't really have like a... Yeah, I was looking for something more like just straight up, like here's all the Hedera tokens, just like that one was, here's all the Algorand tokens, but very interesting. All right, this one I want to talk about really briefly, and just let me move things around here. What I need to do is I need to set up scenes. Yeah, I see the news one. That's kind of interesting. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. I was talking more like just a listing of the tokens. So this is from Nansen, and I'd like to see this. Good news for Near Protocol and Algorand. Top 5 chains with the highest transaction growth in the past week. Positive fee change percentage over the past 7 days, and Algorand is up 38%. Near Protocol up 27%. Also, Ton did pretty well. Phantom did pretty well. So did Ronin at the top with 79%. Big caveat here, though. Big caveat is that Algorand transactions went down like crazy in about 2-3 weeks ago when TravelX left the chain. And I don't care what anyone says. Like people are saying, well, they didn't go to another blockchain. They went to like a private chain. I think that's worse. I think that's absolutely worse, because that means all these big airlines, they didn't want they didn't want public ledger, which means they don't want chains like Algorand or Hedera or any of them. That's really concerning to me, and it makes me wonder about long-term adoption. And that's different than like short-term price action. So I think a lot of people mix that up. But anyway, like I said, you know, it's good to put this in context, but also understand, hey, let's talk about good things when good things happen. Oh yeah, I have some XRP news as well. We'll get to that. Okay, so I'm going to start. I usually like to set these up so I can clip them later. So I'm going to start our Hedera segment, and I will, unless what is in the chat is absolutely relevant to this segment, I'll answer the chats, any of the chats after the segment is over. I will take a brief pause to call out anyone. Michael Orr says to the moon. Yes. Super, you know, if you make a super chat or a gifted sub on Kick, I will stop to call that out, but otherwise I'm going to go through the segment so that I can clip it later. Michael says, curious what price sell-off will happen. I think there's probably a lot of sell orders have been liquidated from the market, but you're going to hit those as people hit their targets. So mostly, though, I think there's going to be more money coming in than going out. So I think people get excited about the markets going up for sure. Okay, so I'm going to start my Hedera segment now. And like I said, I will probably not be answering chat until I finish the segment, unless it's 100% relevant to what I'm talking about. So I've long said that one of the biggest use cases for Hedera is in the world of AI. And I think this new news around AI and crypto and HBAR and NVIDIA is definitely a big step in this direction. So we're going to start our Hedera segment by looking at this piece of news. And this comes from Sean. Breaking: NVIDIA and Accenture's government solution provider announced the integration of HBAR into the Blackwell platform. The entire US government, all EU countries, and many parts of Asia will track their AI workflows on Hedera. Not doing so is simply a risk to national security, and there's no alternative, which comes integrated into NVIDIA and Intel chips out of the box. This can move so many needles at once. I think this is huge, by the way. And that is related to this. NVIDIA Blackwell platform to support, in case you're wondering where this is coming from, to support Equity Labs verifiable compute deployment, announced in collaboration with Scan Computers, Accenture, Public Sector, and built on Hedera. This is great. Equity Lab verifiable compute on NVIDIA Blackwell. If you're a Hedera fan, this is a big deal. This is what you want to see. I think this is awesome. I think pretty much every crypto company would be welcoming this. Now, I think Hedera has made some big moves. They have the agent lab. They have the AI lab. They tend to make labs. They tend to make like specific, hey, let's make a whole little ecosystem for you guys for this one thing. And they've been really all in on AI. Now, you've seen companies like Algorand as well, blockchains like Algorand looking at that as well. But to me, nobody else has like signaled and pushed for AI integration as much as Hedera has. They've just done the work. So this is great to see. By the way, not the only piece of Hedera news that we have. This one comes via CoinMan, the H-Barbarian. Salt is making a full-fledged debut on the Hedera network, ushering in a new chapter in the world of MemeFi. Let's see what this means, actually. So Salt is an exchange. Here's the article. So it's an exchange, and let's see, in 2024, the cryptocurrency market is entering yet another cycle, the DeFi. Wow, that's really old. Did they mean 2025? They must mean 2025, because this article is from 4 days ago. I think they just, I've actually been doing that too myself. Every once in a while, I'll accidentally type 2024 for some reason. Anyway, the DeFi and meme coin ecosystems continue to evolve rapidly, with users seeking platforms that are faster, more intuitive, and more reward driven. At this pivotal point, Salt is making its full-fledged debut on Hedera Network, ushering in a new chapter for the world of MemeFi. I don't know what MemeFi is. So they basically said Hedera is practically in untapped territory when it comes to meme coin ecosystems. It has been focused on the B2B side for a while. And by the way, this is an important point, because Hedera has signaled that they are focusing more on retail this year. And the reason why is because even though they are seeking that B2B, they're seeking that enterprise client, they found that enterprise clients want to see users. So that's why they're focusing on it. So even if you're enterprise focused, like Hedera, Algorand, XRP are all, I would say, enterprise focused chains. And I know Hedera's not a chain, but we don't have a good collective, lack of a collective word for it. I'm just going to call them a chain. So with that caveat, Anyway, even though they're focused on enterprise, they still need users. But on the other side, the Hedera network is famous for its low transaction fee and its incomparable speed of transaction time. From this point, we saw a future of building meme coin ecosystem on Hedera. And they highlight, high security and trust, a timely transition, makes sense, yeah, an institutional friendly environment, which I think is fair. The stablecoin, I think the stablecoin studio is a genius idea. I really do. I think it was very smart. So we're not here to experiment with meme coins. We're here to kickstart MemeFi the right way, from the ground up on Hedera. So they're talking about like one-click wallet creation, sniper grade routing engine, real-time insights. I would have went away from Sniper. Sniper has a very specific, especially in the meme coin world, has a really specific meaning. People who snipe coins are the ones who are waiting for a new coin to go live and instantly buy it. They have very sophisticated algorithms to buy it and sell it before you've even blinked, and it has kind of a negative connotation. So I might have stayed away from that. But anyway, real-time insights to track token trends and social signals, reward systems, and that incentivize user activity, and integration with major DEXs for seamless access. In short, Salt isn't just another app, it's a full stack trading platform built for the meme coin era. So maybe this is where it's going to happen, because this sounds a lot like Salt sounds a lot like Vestige on Algorand, and for the similar platform on Hedera that I have on Algorand with Vestige. It kind of sounds like Salt is the one. I'm going to follow these guys because I want to pay attention to what they're doing from now on. Welcome back. Did they go away? Oh yeah, this is back with Hedera. Apparently they weren't with Hedera before. Pack that Salt. Well, this is definitely a project we're going to keep an eye on, because I think this is pretty interesting. And like I said, this might end up being the Vestige of the Hedera world. But let's see, we got more Hedera news. Right from the Hedera Foundation, we're excited to see Hedera join Project Acacia, led by RBA Info. What's that actually? Reserve Bank of Australia is what that means. And the DFCRC will explore how digital money like stablecoins can support the development of Australian wholesale tokenization asset markets. That's a mouthful, huh? That is a mouthful. Basically, bottom line, they're working with the Reserve Bank of Australia. Very cool. Should we read a little bit about this? I think we should read a little bit. So Project Acacia has reached a significant milestone with a number of industry participants selected to explore how innovations in digital money and existing settlement infrastructure might support the development of Australian wholesale tokenized asset markets. Yeah, by the way, a lot of major banks have been starting to do this, not just Australia. Like, I think the Bank of Italy has been testing these for a while. There was another big bank that was testing some of these. So 19 pilot use cases and 5 proof of concept use cases. So these are the participants: Australian Bond Exchange, Australian New Zealand Banking Corporation, Australian Payments Plus, Canvas, Katina Digital, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, Fireblocks, Forte Tech Solutions, Imperium Markets, Northern Trust, Not Centralized, Prospects Group, Westpac Banking Corporation, and ZeroCap. Is Hedera the only one involved? I'm just trying to see if there's other ones that they talk about. I don't really see it. Am I wrong? I don't think they mentioned Hedera in here. Did they? I don't see it. I see DLT though. Issuance of a pilot wholesale CBDC for test use cases will occur on a range of private and public permission DLT platforms. Including Hedera, Red Belly Network, R3 Corda, Canvas Connect, and other EVM compatible networks. So I haven't heard of any of those besides Hedera. My guess, Hedera will come out ahead in this one, but I'm a little concerned that they're CBDCs because I'm not a big fan of those. I know they're probably going to have it. I just don't want I don't like the government being in control of something like that, but that's just me. But anyway, you know, if you're a Hedera fan, you want to see it at the forefront, and that's where it is. I got more though. Got a couple more for you. Oh, we talked about that. Take it back. We got. Oh, that's about salt too. So apparently the salt one is South Korean based. I didn't realize that. It's actually a mobile trading app. So it makes DeFi feel fast. That's cool. I didn't know it was a South Korean exchange. That's very cool. Hedera's strongest community, salt represents a clear growth opportunity to help bring this country and the wider APAC region on chain and on Hedera. Do I have any other Hedera stuff? And, you know, we kind of covered this before. I think it's worth repeating, though, because I don't know if everyone saw that. Grayscale, the world's largest digital asset-focused investment platform, has added HBAR to Grayscale Smart Contract Fund. By the way, we talked about this in our video earlier this week, and we went into detail. But the reason this is significant is HBAR is in and Polkadot is out. So if you're a Polkadot fan, you probably weren't very happy about this. But for HBAR people, obviously, this is really good news. So the fund, the smart contract fund, they have a few different of these kind of funds. There's a DeFi fund, a smart contract fund, and a Grayscale decentralized AI fund, which you could sort of see Hedera being in that one too. But anyway, the Grayscale smart contract platform fund is 30% ETH, just a little under 30% Solana, 18.5% ADA, almost 9% SWI, 6.7% AVAX, and now 5.8% HBAR, and Polkadot is out the door. So I think this is pretty interesting. Actually, don't follow Grayscale. I should follow them. I think that's pretty interesting anyway. So some very big news for Hedera, and this is definitely something that you want to pay attention. So Kemaldar asked about price prediction. I'm going to caveat this with I do not like price predictions. My method is to always have a plan for it going up and going down, in other words. So I don't want to rely on a price prediction, but I will. What I'll do is, right now, like I said, my average buy on Hedera is about 4 cents. So currently at 20, I'm currently up 5x. And when I'm up maybe a few more x, like around the 40, I think I have my next price target set around 40 cents. I just keep shaving a little off and taking some profit. And that's what I do for all my all my coins. Like when I'm up, I just take profit. Uh-oh. Not live on Kick. Sorry, Kick friends. They really gotta make Kick more stable. I think I had a pretty good audience over there on Kick too, and it just disappeared. By the way, Snail, welcome to the show. Always happy to have you here. Was in the middle of a segment before, but I hope you have a good weekend as well. Now, when I talk about Hedera, I could see the price going to. I think over $1 is, assuming we have the kind of bull market that we are expecting, which now seems to be underway. I think over $1 is not unheard of. But my plan is not predicated on that. I will take profits on the way up. I'll probably take 10 or 15% here, 10 or 15% there. Like I said, 40 cents is my next target. And that's how I do that. So, but I'm just not a big fan of, I usually react to other people's price predictions because some of them seem like crazy to me. One of the things I really hate, by the way, I can't stand it, is this, I call it market cap math, where people say, well, if this coin had the market cap of this, it'd be worth this much. It's like, yeah, but who cares? That's meaningless. You know, if I had Jose Canseco's batting skills, I'd be in the Major League Baseball. Great, but I don't. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's absolutely one of those meaningless statements. Anyway, I think that's our Hedera segment. I think there's definitely there's been a lot of really good news. My last video that I made on Hedera, I think, was so packed with good news that it is probably the best video I've ever had on Hedera. Yeah, I really wish I knew what was going on with Kick because it's just not working. Which reminds me, I have to change my banners because I don't want to like be promoting Sui anymore. Anyway, I do have some Ondo news that I want to get to. I have some other. Well, I wanted to talk about this. I don't think I'm going to clip this into a video, but I think this is worthwhile. Let me get some coffee here. And actually, while we're doing that, let me check something because we have our leaderboard going, and you guys, come on. Right now, Mr. Undead, the #1 top fan, followed by Michael Lore and then Ricky Ricardo. Which I'm surprised. I don't know what. I actually don't know what gets you on there because some people have commented more than that. I don't know if it's like cumulative over time, but we do have a leaderboard. So the more you comment, I think Super Chats give you points and stuff too. You can actually get up on the leaderboard. If there's a way I can. Yeah, Mr. Undead leading with 75 points. Michael Orr and Ricky Ricardo tied with. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Michael Lore has 50 XP. Ricky Ricardo has 25. Tied with Moroccan Wolf 27, also at 25. So you guys can actually work your way on the. You can actually work your way up the leaderboard. Anyway, Mr. Undead, Mr. Erded says, "What's your targets on Ondo for taking profits?" Actually, I am currently out of Ondo, and I probably could have had an entry, but I'll probably enter after this bull run. Once the bull run is over, then I'll probably enter back into Ondo. I got into it a little too late. I probably could have still turned around a profit during the pullback, but I actually didn't. So I'd bought some Ondo and then I sold out of it. More like a trading style, which I don't do very often. I'm not really a big trader, but every once in a while I will, every once in a while I'll just buy in and try something out. What would I put it at? I mean, it's hard to say because price targets are sort of dependent on when you bought it, right? So, if I were buying it now, well, I should save this for, well, no, I'm not going to include this in my, so if I were going to buy it, let's see here. If I were going to buy it right now, I'd probably, I'd probably be looking for a 2x before I started. I'd probably look for to double it up before I started taking some profits. But really, the time to buy was 2 years ago, or even a year and a half ago, or even during this pullback. I don't know what happened to my Kick, by the way. It's just offline and it refuses to go back online. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can. Oh, back on. So it says. It says it's on, but I'm not seeing it on my laptop that I pulled up. Very strange. All right, I guess I just won't worry about it. OG Scoopy Stevie says snail. Ricky Ricardo says XRP $3 plus. Yeah, I think that's pretty likely. And I don't think $5 is impossible for XRP. Anyway, OG Scuba Stevie says, where do you see Algo going? Where do you see algo going? And is this the bull run? I think this is absolutely the bull run. I think, well, it's the second half, right? I think these prices are going to keep going up. And I think I was looking for the second half of the year. And my thesis was, if we don't see anything major in the rest of 2025, that maybe the cycles are broken and it's just not going to happen. Now, where do I see it going? Like I said, I tend not to take too strong of price predictions. With Algorand, I've been saying $2 to $3 is a pretty reasonable target. I'd love to see it go higher, but who knows? Meyer Dead says Undo will do good. I plan to exit before the next unlock, though. Are you gonna fully exit? I just tend to take profits myself. Oh, look, it is there. Okay. That's really weird. Anyway. Snail says banned. Did someone get banned? If so, you guys are quick. I didn't even see it. Yep. So anyway, plenty of time to get up that leaderboard. Oops. I'm gonna put my email on the screen. Yeah, so I do want to talk about this one briefly, and I'm not going to clip this one. I don't want to make content around this, but I do want to say, so I think a lot of people have seen the latest image of Ben Armstrong, aka BitBoy Crypto, going around the internet, and it's pretty sad. You know, he was the biggest YouTuber. When I got into crypto, I was watching his show almost every day, and you know, I got to know AJ, who was writing for him toward the end, and kind of stayed by his side until he really got bad. I think AJ said, well, I'll read his post here because I think he had the best take of this. Now, I didn't share the photo because I just thought it was bad taste. I don't like to kick people when they're down. And he's been down about as far as you can get. I know, like, you know, you can say he deserves it, and you're probably not wrong. But I think there's some serious mental illness going on there. And so I feel kind of bad for him, and I hope he gets the help he needs. But I want to share what AJ said about him, because I think this was a really good post. So AJ said, Ben Armstrong gave me my shot in crypto a few years ago when I had almost nothing to my name. I wrote hundreds of videos for him back when he was the biggest influencer in the industry. We traveled the country on his book tour. We watched Sam Bankman-Fried squirm in a Bahamian courtroom. We once broke into the Algorand offices in Boston and left them a note. That was pretty funny, I admit. By the way, AJ, you know, AJ's been on my channel. I've been on his channel a couple times. Some people reacted a certain way to him. He's a little bit flashy. I think he likes to put out that flashiness. You know, I'm not like that myself, but I think he has good. I think he has good information, and I think he's a big Algorand guy. So it is what it is. I'm ashamed to say that I was his right hand for content at the height of his run. Or sorry, I'm not ashamed to say that. It wasn't all bad. In fact, it was some of the most fun I've ever had in my life. We made top-notch content, and I was proud to be a part of it. But that was all before he relapsed and was utterly consumed by the dark side of his ego. Like they always say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I don't know if he like necessarily had good intentions. BitBoy has been accused of absolutely of like taking money to pump coins and then selling off that money when it pumped. He got caught doing this several times, and that's why like I only do long-term plays. I'll do like a sponsored video for like a project, but not for a coin specifically. I just think it's a bad idea. OG Scuba Stevie says, I thought we were here to talk about the pump, or did I come too late? Well, we talk about a lot of stuff, okay? It's a 2-hour live stream. There's only so much you can talk about with the pump. And when I do a segment, I usually stick to the segment and then we come back to stuff. So yeah, we talked about it like in the first half hour. But I can answer your question. Just let me get done with this, okay? I'd be lying if I said I don't miss those times the man I once knew. Out of respect for those experiences and for the man I've evolved into because of those experiences, I thought long and hard about how to carefully word this. Yes, I'm angry with him, and I hate how effing selfish and inconsiderate he became, But to this day, I try my best to remain compassionate. At the end of the day, Ben is human with flaws, just like me, just like you. Yes, but I think some people are a little more flawed than others, and this goes on and on. But he says it's beyond sad that all of that work has been reduced to a cautionary tale, a meme, and to some people a joke. It's not funny. People don't realize how many people have been hurt because of this debacle. So it was very it was kind of funny. Like he got pretty ridiculous, and for a while I think it actually was kind of funny, and then it kind of got into a territory where it just became sad. I think when he got to the point where he was making these manifestos and he was like harassing the judge that was overseeing the case of his thing being stolen. You know, it just got bad. It just got really bad. And if the sensible thing for him was to let the court process play out, because I don't know if you know, like there was kind of a takeover at BitBoy Crypto where he basically got kicked out of his own company. Both have their own sides. That was going to get adjudicated in court. And in the meantime, he was building a new channel. Just build your new channel and make money that way, and stop. You know, at some point people get so obsessed, and I've seen this in my own life. People get so obsessed that they lose all sight of reality. And that's what happened to BitBoy. Anyway, he says drugs, ego, paranoia, and a complete lack of respect for baseline reality destroyed this man. I think there's a mental illness, because now he's in a mental hospital, not prison, not rehab, an effing mental institution. But I think that's probably where he should be. I think that's where he's going to get the help he needs. Because I've seen this before. I've seen this play out where someone gets so obsessed with an issue that they lose reality. It's crazy. On the way out the door, my hands practically glued to my pockets. I offered to pay him to go to rehab. And damn it, I wish he took me up on that offer. Instead, with a grin, he burnt everything he built and cyberbullied his judge, along with half the policemen in Cobb County, Georgia. He did. Says, I still pray for him. I pray that he heals. But yeah, part of me still wants to punch him in the face. You know, not looking great. So anyway, like I just wanted to share that because I think that was a pretty significant thing. And I hope I do hope he gets the help he needs. You know, I hope I don't know that he can bounce back from this, maybe. But he can like live some kind of normal life, but it's yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay, let's go back. OG had asked, how long do you think this run will last before a pullback? I mean, who knows? You know, I like to think this is the start of the, we're going to have we always have little pullbacks along the way, but I think we've already had a little bit of a pullback. Like Bitcoin was at 117 not that long ago, or 119 not that long ago. But I think if this is indeed the bull run, that it's going to keep pumping up. I think that's what we're going to see here. Mr. Erdad said after his fight at Karate Combat, I thought Ben is going to do better. I think that's fair. I think he had a good showing at. I was actually very surprised. I thought he was going to get trounced at Karate Combat, and he did pretty well. I mean, he obviously got gassed pretty quickly. He's a big guy, and I don't know if you guys ever done anything like that. It's exhausting. I did a shark bait in jiu-jitsu where it's like 10 minutes with a fresh opponent every minute, and everybody was at least a belt or two higher than me. It was the most exhausting thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, I could barely get myself off the mat for the last 2 minutes. Snail says, I think we're still early, but people overlook the psychological aspect of crypto. I think a lot of the dead weight has been flushed out. I think people who are I think right now we're going to see more FOMO come into the market, because that's usually what happens. Everyone's like, once you see these big pumps, people start getting in, people start buying. And I think the people that were taking profits early, they're done and they're waiting for higher highs now, just like I am. Snail says, I knew back in 2022 it would take a long time. Yeah, that's the thing about this, actually. There's been a lot of talk about lengthening cycles. And I think that's 100% true. I think the cycles have been lengthening. You know, last time it happened later. This time it's happening even later. Let's not forget, it was like February through April last time when the pumps happened. So now we're seeing it a few months later from that. I mean, it makes sense. Will XRP have a better ROI over Algorand? XRP has historically pumped a lot more than Algorand, I think. Mr. Erded says, I do jiu-jitsu a lot, but it's hard and harder every year, especially against younger and more fit practitioners. 100% true. Man, it's tough. Yeah, I'm just getting over a rib injury from 2 weeks ago where I got stacked and then the guy crashed down on top of me and I was like laying on the mat for a minute trying to catch my breath. I just had the wind knocked out of me. I actually thought I cracked a rib, but I don't think so because it's healed too much. Maybe I did slightly. Not easy. Not an easy sport. I think the injuries have been minimized as I grow in ranking. I'm about 2 stripes away from a purple belt. And so I think I'm able to protect myself better, but in that one instance, I definitely didn't do that very well. Snail, I don't think ever in history it's been televised that everyone get rich at the same time by XRP in this example. And he says, be careful. Well, I'm going to go on to our Ondo segment, and that's our last news segment, and then we can chat about whatever. So let me pull X back up. This will be great for my XRP and Ondo fans. Let's see if that's still working. Yes. All right, looks like all my chats are working. All right, as some of you know, I've been paying attention to Ondo Finance lately. I think they're doing some really cool stuff in real-world asset tokenization, particularly around financial markets. Very interesting, like US Treasuries are tokenized on Ondo, but now there's a partnership between Ondo and XRP. I think this is super cool. Zach Humphreys, a friend of the channel, has covered this, and I think we gotta take a look at this because this is super interesting. So let me put my headphones on.
XRP, or if you hold Ondo Finance, this video is for you guys. You got to see this because Ondo is coming out with their own, and there's a lot of interesting things happening right now in the tokenization space. We've talked a lot about what XRP and Ripple is doing right now, especially in the Middle East with Dubai. They're tokenizing real estate on the XRPL, but people often forget Ripple and Ondo both partnered up, massive companies. Ripple partnering up with Ondo. We know that Ondo is at the forefront of tokenization when it comes to the financial side of things, right? When we look at tokenizing US Treasuries, equities, but we also need to address what's going on with Ondo's blockchain and how XRP kind of fits into all of this as well. So
I think it's interesting that they're starting their own blockchain. I had no idea that that was in the works, and apparently this partnership has been around for a little while. I was unaware of this. I don't follow Ondo kind of new to following Ondo. I was really interested. I heard someone from Ondo talking about this on one of the Wolf of Wall Street spaces, and it made me interested because I thought, wow, that's they're actually really into this Ondo. Actually, I should have put Ondo on my title too, because I think Ondo is doing some really cool stuff with financial markets, like the U.S. Treasuries. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. That's wonderful. I like to see that kind of stuff. So I think this is really neat, and this partnership is really cool. But let's learn more about this blockchain.
Guys, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe down below. And there's a reason why I hold both XRP and Ondo. They play into one another in terms of, how they're going to help each other tokenize the world, essentially. And there's going to be a lot of big players, but these two in particular go hand in hand. Massive players already on board with Ondo, of course, BlackRock, JP Morgan, Chase, and Ripple. So let's get into it, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about both the assets from a chart standpoint. Ondo looks very, very interesting right here at 83 cents. We did get our momentum up recently here at 81 cents on the come up. We did dip down to about 75 cents. Chart's looking pretty nice, though, here on Ondo.
By the way, what happened to like the play? We used to be able to actually move the video around. It doesn't appear you can scroll the video anymore. It's really weird.
Really primed and ready for a breakout, especially if we go to the daily chart. We've been kind of range bound for a really long time.
By the way, that was on June 9th, so he was definitely right. Poised for a breakout. They definitely broke out. Credit to Zach for that.
Since March, essentially, we've been down here below $1. Yeah, we popped up here a couple different times, just weren't able to sustain that like $1.10 level, $1.11. But anytime Ondo is under $1 right now, I am definitely prepared to be a buyer at these levels. That's just my opinion here. And if you guys want the early access to know when Ondo or XRP or any of these cryptos are really ready to pop, XT Algo, my trading software, great tool for you guys. Great 21% off coupon code linked down below in the description. It's awesome because you can set up your own customized alerts. This is your access to exactly what I'm using to make my trades. I've got alerts set up for a lot of the top 100 cryptos. I walk you through how to set it all up. You could try it risk-free for 30 days, and there is a link down below to XT Algo. But wanted to get into some of the news and information, and partly why I'm so bullish on Ondo, especially alongside Ripple, as a tokenized world is playing out in front of us. And Ondo Finance is a key leader. And they just recently announced Ondo Chain, which is going to be a layer 1 blockchain. Right now, Ondo is only one of the only top cryptos out there, that are actually utility plays that don't have their own blockchain, but they soon will, right? So they're designing a layer 1 to bridge the gap between TradFi and DeFi. And it was announced at the Ondo Summit, huge step toward institutional grade blockchain infrastructure. And Ondo Finance's CEO said financial markets are overdue for an upgrade. This is coming from Nathan Ullman. Today's financial systems are plagued by high fees, limited access, and operational inefficiencies. At Ondo, we are addressing these challenges head on by creating a unified ecosystem that bridges the best of TradFi with the capabilities of blockchain technology. So where they're looking first is within the financial world, right? And with Ondo Chain, the company aims to address the challenges that exist and the barriers to tokenizing real-world assets, ensuring security while doing so, compliance, and interoperability.
This might be a hot take, but I don't think we need another token. I don't think we need another blockchain. I think we already have really successful blockchains. But they can build. It's a free market. They can build what they want. I just I think it's harder and harder for a company to make a compelling case for yet another blockchain when we have so many to choose from already. I think there's already too many coins and too many blockchains. But I'll definitely watch for it. Maybe it'll do more than I think it will do, or it'll be better than I think it will be. So who knows?
Still maintaining the efficiency and transparency of public blockchains like ETH. So why Ondo Chain? Why are they building out their own?
I'm sorry, did you say efficiency like ETH? I hope it's better than ETH. ETH is not the example I would have used, frankly. I mean, God, use Algorand or Hedera or even XRP. Like XRP like works better. Why would you say ETH? That's just amazing. Not a great sign, I'll be honest.
Layer one. Well, DeFi incompatibility with public securities. So right now, traditional financial instruments like corporate stocks and government bonds come with a lot of complex mechanics, dividends, splits, corporate actions. These features don't align well with existing DeFi protocols, right? So Ondo Chain is set to attack these challenges. The other thing we have to address is liquidity and fragmentation across blockchains. Currently, RWAs are being issued on multiple blockchains, leading to liquidity fragmentation, right? So Ondo Chain is looking to be interoperable, allowing different blockchains to communicate with other blockchains in one space.
I mean, I think that's okay, but like Link is already doing that, and a lot of that new wormhole just went live on Algorand, allowing it to easily transition between different chains. So I just don't know if that's necessary. I just don't hear the problem that they're solving that isn't already solved by another chain. And they talked about the complex layer of the fragmentation. Well, adding another blockchain just adds more fragmentation. I hate to come out negative because I think Ondo is doing some great stuff, but I'm a little skeptical of how. I just think a lot of stuff in crypto tends to be like solutions in the search of problems, and this really seems to fit into that category for me. Like I just don't know that there's a need for another blockchain, and it just sounds like they're doing a lot of the same things. I mean, that's fine if they want to, like, hey, we think we can do it maybe slightly better, but I just don't know what problem they're solving that isn't already solved in some other way.
And again, where Ripple comes in here is they can provide a lot of that liquidity. And that is one of the big reasons why they've partnered up with Ondo. Then you've got the whole issue with transaction fees. Most blockchain networks require fees. Ondo Chain seeks to stabilize these fees by allowing staking of tokenized RWAs. We know that that's coming with Ethereum as well, ETH staking. Now, we've also got security concerns. Ondo Chain is set to use institutional grade validators and DVNs, or decentralized verifier networks, to enhance security. Then you've got the institutional hesitation due to a lot of the regulatory.
So that's actually kind of funny to me because isn't that one of the chief? Whoa, what happened there? Apparently I just got kicked off of X? That's really strange. Oh, it's been an interesting live stream, that's for sure. Apparently, well, I'm seeing it on here though. Strange. Anyway, apparently that was one of the chief complaints about Algorand from people like Justin Bonds, that they were using validator nodes that were centralized and not decentralized enough. That what you wanted is like the people controlling it. So I think that's super interesting.
Concerns. So Ondo Chain is built with permission validators to address these concerns, making it a very, very suitable place for institutional capital markets.
And very centralized. I mean, that's, and I guess that's fine. I find what they really want, I think what a lot of institutions really want is they want privacy, and they don't want it to be a public ledger. Looks like I'm back up on X. That's good. And I think that's why Silvio Macaulay is focusing on the fiat chain as a intermediary layer, so that people who are distrustful of crypto, I just don't see how like institutions that are really distrustful of crypto will suddenly be like, oh, but you guys are okay. I think that distrust exists no matter what chain you're using. Like this has been Algorand's play for a long time. They've been trying to be the adult in the room. I think Hedera is too. Both of those have been really trying to focus on enterprise and being less crypto-y, for lack of a better word. I just don't see that Ondo is going to do more than those chains are already doing.
Markets. So they're starting again with U.S. Treasuries and equities. And if you kind of deep dive into why Ripple is partnered with Ondo, you'll see kind of where this leads. So it says here, Ondo Finance and Ripple have partnered to bring Ondo's OUSG, or short-term U.S. government treasuries, onto the XRP ledger. This move aims to provide institutional investors with access to tokenized treasuries on the XRPL, and the partnership aims to address the demand for liquidity. This is the big piece, right? This is why Ripple's such a big player. Efficiency and transparency in the market for tokenized real world assets.
So that makes a lot more sense to me. That makes a lot more sense to me than creating your own chain. Like you already have XRP, which gives you access to institutions. I just don't think it makes sense to make your own blockchain again.
So RLUSD is another big part of this. This is the stablecoin within the Ripple ecosystem. It's seen as a response, this partnership, to the growing demand from institutional investors for tokenized US treasuries that, again, offers liquidity, efficiency, and transparency. This news came out back in January that Ondo and XRP were teaming up. And this is, again, one of the reasons why I've decided to really go heavy into both of these assets. I mentioned to you guys that I opened up a much larger position again in XRP at 225. I know that trade didn't look good a little while ago, but we're back above it at 228. It's a long-term play for me. I did convert some old cryptos more and just basically to get a bigger position. And it's a separate position from my XRP spot where I was buying at 40, 50 cents. Opened up a separate position with, totally different goals and aspirations with that. But I just think where XRP is today is severely undervalued given where we're heading, with tokenizing real world assets. And Ondo, again, another big part of my strategy here. So if you guys do want to come trade with me too.
Yeah, I think we can. I'm much more I'll be honest. I can understand wanting to control the ecosystem by having your own chain. I just haven't seen it work out that well. Gala has been going down. They have their own chain now and hasn't really helped them much. I'm much more bullish on this partnership with Ripple, which already has access. So you can bring the cool stuff that Ondo is doing, like tokenized treasuries, and bring them right to institutions via Ripple. I think that makes a lot more sense to me. I think he's right. Ripple has a lot more space to rip, so that'll be good. And I think Ondo will as well. So I would say that's probably the bigger news and the bigger deal. I'm much more bullish on that partnership than I am their own chain. But everyone got to do what they think is best for them, I guess. All right, going back. Scuba asked if you see Algo hitting $20 in 2030. And Snail says, I think people will be surprised. Doge unlimited supply went up 347,000%. That's a point I always make because people always cite the cap supply and say, well, once most of the stuff is out, it becomes more scarce. But they kind of forget the demand side, and the demand side matters a lot more than the cap side. It's because, like we said, Doge is a good one, unlimited supply. ETH itself is 2,500, well, now almost 3,000 as of today. And, it's also unlimited supply. A lot of these have unlimited supply, but it's really demand versus emissions. So I'm very skeptical. A lot of people think, oh, well, in 2030, all the algo will be out and, it'll be worth all this much. And it might. Who knows? It might. But the problem is it rarely plays out that way because you just see like SWI, which is on the very front end of its curve. It's got same market cap, 10 billion, or same number of total supply, 10 billion tokens. And it's really on the early end of the emission curve. And yet, look, it's pumping like crazy. It's already over $3, and Algorand's like 20 cents. So now why? I don't know. There's a lot that go into it. Like Snail says, psychology is really important here. Sean says Algo will be part of the new financial system. It'll be part of it. Snail says, why are the block size caps? Why does it cost $2 to send $10 to someone? It's not white paper defined. You guys are having a really interesting chat here, and I'm not... I feel like I'm missing something here. Literally, anything is possible. We won't get anywhere unless people figure out Bitcoin antics. So that's what you're saying. The antics are the block sizes are capped. Well, I'll tell you what I'll say about Bitcoin. And it's down under 717,000 right now. So we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. That's one thing you just can't deny. Did I lose? I get kicked off of X again. What the heck? What is going on with that? I was kicked off of YouTube. What the heck? Looks like I'm still on there. Oh, I'm back on again. Yeah, it's really weird that it does that. Yeah, well, anyway, it's been really fun. This is the fun times in crypto. It's just fun to see these prices go crazy. I mean, you got Bitcoin up, falling back down a little bit, but still right around 117. Ethereum at 3,000. Okay, I'll take a look here. Oh, Sean, ISO compliant. There is, okay. Let's one thing at a time. Snail says, why did it pump in 2017? That's when SegWit and block sizes were changed. If a person doesn't know this, they should do research. I'll be honest, I did not know that. But it's also following the cycles. 2017 is when, let's see. Yeah, I was buying around, yep, Bitcoin was in the 2000s around the time I was buying. And then when it cracked up to here, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I sold off, I made some profit. Sean Ryan says, so is also, I think you meant Algo, a good bet since it's ISO compliant. So I've covered this numerous times, and I've made videos. I've spoken to people in Algorand and other chains about this. There's no such thing as an ISO compliant cryptocurrency. It does not. That's not a thing. It's one of the biggest misnomers in all of crypto. There's no such thing as ISO 20022 compliant coins. The way ISO 20022 works, it is a bank messaging syntax, just like Swift was. And there's no compliance. It has nothing to do with blockchains whatsoever. And as the Algorand CTO, John Allen Woods, has told me, Algorand is not compliant. It's just that is not a thing. And where ISO 20022 could come into play is if you had a dApp that was built around banking, that dApp could adopt the syntax for the bank messaging. But it's just a new syntax. I did a really deep, and Stacey Warden said the same thing. She said that there was a guy named JT Invests in You. Yeah, so he interviewed Stacey, and this is where this first came out. He said something about Algorand being ISO compliant. And she goes, yeah, something about, she goes, I know that's going around, but that's not an actual thing. Sean says, I've been here. I've watched your videos. Yeah, well, did you see that one? Yeah, it's just not a thing, man. It's not a thing. But that being said, the narrative is still out there. It went away almost completely. I had heard nothing about it. And I was like, okay, people finally woke up to this not really being a thing. And then as soon as it seemed like it was gone, I'm starting to see people talk about it again. And so, that is a good point, actually. The narrative might drive prices anyway. I mean, those coins, the coins that are supposedly in it, are doing pretty well. So yeah, that could be something. Raphael said, where do you see H bar reaching? Like I said, I think over $1 is definitely reasonable, but I don't really love price predictions. I think they're kind of silly. And I think what matters most is having a plan for when it goes up and a plan for when it goes down. Having a good strategy is just better, where the price doesn't really matter. You just do, if it's down, you know, if you're in a bear market, you buy. And if you're in a bull market, you sell. And you should take I usually take profits in chunks. So maybe 10, 15% at a time. And then I just set price targets. So if it goes up higher, and I'll take more profits, right? When BTC forked, it lost the original protocol. That's why its number go up. And by the way, Sean, appreciate you being here and watching that. 2017 pump because the sheep started to believe in crypto. The homeless guy at the gas station discovered Bitcoin. So did I. I guess I was I wasn't at a gas station, but well, I'll tell you what, actually. So I first started paying attention to Bitcoin when it was when you could buy several of them for, and I don't know if it's even reflected. I don't think this goes far enough back. Yeah, this doesn't go nearly far enough back. You know, around 2010, you know, when it was when I first learned about Bitcoin and started kind of you know, at least reading about it a little bit, you know, it was multiple Bitcoin for $1. In fact, they might have been worth a penny or something like that. It was a very small amount. And then I remember when it was over $1 a piece, and I thought, well, that's probably the end of that. Now, people forget in those early days, it was really hard to buy Bitcoin. You had to send a money order to some shady address and hope you get your Bitcoin, and with a wallet set up. There wasn't exchanges like there are now. And so, yeah, it wasn't until 2017 when I actually started buying some. Mike Orr says, there's a roadmap for Algo come out next week. It's supposed to. In fact, I've been told to keep an eye out for it, so I will be. Sean Ryan says, I heard stocks will also be put on the ecosystem. I think you might be talking about, Exodus minted its stocks on Algorand. So I don't know if people know that. And they just went IPO earlier this year. I can't remember. It's all a blur, so I can't remember exactly when, but that was pretty big. Y'all, yeah, welcome in, Sean. Appreciate you being here. Raphael is lucky enough to buy a big chunk when it was 2 cents. Wow. Yeah, I wish, man. Here's the thing though. And if you were able to hold on to it that whole time and keep it, good for you, because a lot of people, you know, this was a really new thing. You had to have your own wallet. We didn't have things like Coinbase. And a lot of people probably would have lost it. I remember back in, I think it was 2013, 14. And I know because I was living in another city and had a different job. You could set up a wallet, and there were these faucets where you could get 0.01 Bitcoin, which at the time was fractions of a penny, right? And I had a bunch of these because it'd be you play some little game or a CAPTCHA or whatever, and then you would get a little bit of Bitcoin sent to your wallet. That wallet, if I could find it, and I have no hope of finding it because I'm pretty sure I had it all set up on an old work laptop I don't have access to. That's probably worth a few thousand now. Michael Orr says Bitcoin will be interesting when quantum computing becomes more of a reality. Yeah, I'm very curious about that myself. I am very curious about that. That's where I think something like Algorand is going to play well because it's quantum secure. And I know Hedera has been working on the quantum security too. Bitcoin will be interesting when quantum computing becomes more of a reality. Curious how I just read that, sorry. Snail says, I saw an ad on my boss's computer in 2013. and I thought it was a scam. I had some Twitter. I was on Twitter really early too. Like, I want to say it goes back to '09. Like I was very early on Twitter, and I had a couple of friends, Twitter friends that were like hardcore Bitcoin, and they're probably all like super loaded at this point. Sean says I had heard about Bitcoin at $200 because my buddy used Hidden Road to do, oh, you mean Silk Road, to do a list of things, and was going to invest 10K if only I had a time machine. Yeah, all of us, man, all of us. Michael Snails responding to Michael or said that's the reason I'm cozy here in Algo. Michael says I hoard a little BTC mostly because I bought a long time ago and it's nice to see it go up. Thinking 5 years out till quantum becomes an issue. Sean says thanks for having me. We're always happy to have you here. Yeah, we do. We got some mods. We do a pretty good job of weeding out the riffraff, and everyone who comes in and wants to participate who isn't going to be a jerk. You're more than welcome as always. And that's most people. That's like 95% of people. There's like 5% of people that are you just got to get rid of them. They just cause problems. Snail says beautifully done. I just exited my final cold wallet today at 117. OG Scuba Stevie says I bought at 235 and sold at 1500. It seemed like a good idea at the time, right? That was my journey too. 2017 I bought Bitcoin. I don't think I had a full Bitcoin. Probably about half of one. I mean, think half of one would be like 50,000 now, or a few $100s if I just held on to it, or I could have taken profit and gotten back in. Raphael says, I believe HBAR will be a top performer this bull run. I think it's going to do great. I think it's been doing great, honestly. I really do. Sean says, Hedera, XRP, XLM, and Bitcoin are biggest holdings. Mine is Algorand, but it's not, I'm actually putting it to work in DeFi. So I'm not just holding on to it. And that's why whenever I do my portfolio updates, everyone's like, where's Algo? I'm like, well, I don't include Algo because Algo is like its own separate thing. So I when I do that, I talk about my DeFi, and that's all Algorand. Well, I wonder if there's any other news to cover. Let me see. It seems like everything's working now again. That's nice. And I'm really looking forward to, there's been a lot of talk about monetization on X in terms of like live streaming, and I think that'll be great because I get my biggest audience on X for sure, but my most engaged audience is here on YouTube. Hey, why don't I take a look at the leaderboard here for a second? I think that'll be great. Let's see what we got. Michael Lohr still leading with top fans with 100 XP. I don't know what it's I don't know how it's counting it. Sean Ryan, who's been talking a lot, he's at 75 XP, and Raphael Betancourt at 75. Followed by Ricky Ricardo Films, My Dead at 50. Both of them tied at 50, and Moroccan Wolf at 25. I don't know what you get points for, because I don't see Snail on here, and Snail's been chatting a lot, so I don't. Sean Ryan says, I'm stuck in a crappy pace. I'm on disability, so if I literally trade, then I lose my insurance and doctors and everything, so pretty much screwed because every trade is considered income. Damn. Sorry to hear that, man. That's rough. Well, I assume buying isn't, but selling is, right? And is there like a certain amount? I don't know. Are you if you're in the US, I think there's usually a certain amount that you can't go over a certain amount of income. I had some friends that were on disability and they had to be really, really careful. Raphael says invested in Lumia. It's an RWA crypto, and I believe this project will be huge. There's a low circulating supply. Nail says the most slept on chain is NCT Nectar, in my opinion. Well, I'm out of my stuff I want to do today, so we got a little time. So why don't we look at these? Let's start with Nectar. Oops, if I spell it right. Wait, that's NEC? Is that the NCT? So NCT I'm seeing as Polyswarm. And when I go to Nectar, I'm seeing NEC. And the price isn't tracked, so is it? Well, let's look at the other one. I'll wait to hear from anyone. Let me look at Velis. Oh, it's Polyswarm? Okay, we'll get back to that. Here's Lumia, not having, oh, it's all time. Okay. Very, very down all time. It almost looks like Algorand's chart, except it had a higher high than it launched at. That's the thing to remember about Algorand, by the way. It has never reached its like launch price. That's a pretty good, nice little pump in the last week though. Kind of fallen back down, but went from like 22 cents to 38 cents at its high. Hope you took some profits. Sean says, really love your videos. I appreciate that, my friend. I appreciate that. Who told me about Lumia? Raphael did. Yeah, I hope you're able to take some profits on that 38 cents. That's like a 2x, over 2x. Or more. Well, yeah, depending on when you bought in. Okay, let's look at Polyswarm. Down on the 7-day, kind of bucking the trend. Is this one of those ones where it bucks the trend out to decent on the 1-day, not so great on the 7-day. I should have looked at this for Lumia too. Crowdsourced threat intelligence marketplace. It provides a more effective way to detect, analyze, and respond to the latest threats, the ones more likely to go undetected by existing solutions. Like what kind of threats? I assume they mean some kind of security threats of some kind. That's interesting. People seem pretty bullish on it. And you can buy it on Coinbase. Very interesting. Deals in malware. Okay, so like, yeah, security threats. I get it. Sean says, I have some algo, but need to lower my average cost. Do pretty much just DCA and hold. Good idea. Okay, I've heard of Pengu. Pengu is like, yeah, interesting. Let's go back up. Velis. Let's look at Velis. Where's my little search bar? It's a VLX. Yep. Having a nice day with Velix. Let's see what you can get it at Gate or eToro. Doesn't look like the easiest one to get. I like when I can get it on Coinbase. Ooh, that's not a good month. Good day, good week though. But well, 7% up on the week. Interesting. And this one, is a pioneering Solana L1 fork with full EVM blockchain bridging the gap between EVM familiarity and unparalleled performance. Interesting. It's a highly unique dual chain architecture, seamlessly merging the best of both worlds, the robust security and established developer ecosystem of the EVM with lightning fast transaction processing of capabilities. Hybrid approach unlocks a treasure trove of possibility for Ethereum projects seeking to escape congestion and scale to new heights. That's actually pretty smart. Giving an off ramp for EVM compatible projects to say, hey, this really sucks, everything's really expensive, but what if we do this? We can go to this chain instead and save money. That's kind of interesting. Ricky Ricardo says soon XRP will dump to 589 and then it's time to degen into pudgy penguins. Well, it doesn't have to get to 589. It's not even, let's settle down a little bit. We're at like 2 something with XRP. I reacted to this video from like 4 years ago where it was predicting a $10,000 XRP. It was ridiculous, and I shredded the video apart because the reasoning was so ridiculous. And I know it's easy going back and looking at videos like that, but it just ignored the treasure trove of competition that someone like XRP. Raphael says, thank you, mate. Need to go today. I need a beer. Fair enough. I might be having one of those later. Is Doge being brought into ETF? Saw somewhere I need cold wallet. Also need cold wallet signing. Good advice. Appreciated. Let's take a look. Doge ETF. With ETF approval now almost certain, could Doge skyrocket past $1? This DeFi token below 5 cents definitely will. As the crypto market buzzes with anticipation over the near certain approval of the Dogecoin ETF, investor attention is rapidly shifting to emerging opportunities across the DeFi space. While Doge edges closer to the elusive $1 mark, one low-price DeFi gem, Mutum Finance, is gaining ground below 5 cents. Is Doge really getting to the... Hold on a second. Why did I say getting to the dollar mark? It's at 20 cents, which is not bad. I mean, that's fine. Sean says he's slipping on a little vodka himself. Good for you. Have a nice weekend. Thank you for your time. Thanks, Raphael. Bridge AI, can you look at that? XRP breaking $500. Not in my lifetime. I'm 35. Yeah. And I'm not 35. We'll say that. A bit higher than that. So I think XRP is going to do great. I just think we have to be a little more realistic about some of the predictions. Yeah, I mean, it's done. What's Doge done in a year? Yeah, 88% in a year, not bad. It's been around 10 cents, now up around 20 cents. So some memes are just persistent, and of course you can buy it pretty much everywhere. All right, I think we're going to end with this Bridge AI. So let's. I think there's too many cryptos. Max supply of 10 billion, just like Algorand. Down on the year, way down on the year. Up on the month. And big 7-day pump. That's really good. Sometimes these small market cap ones, they can really pop off. Because what are we at here? We're at 1907, so we're way back. You can buy it at Bitmart, BingX, Pancake Swap. So not the easiest coin to get a hold of. Snail says Robinhood owns a couple billion in SHIB. They send hundreds of millions back and forth to an England market maker as they do with Lincoln Litecoin. I don't hold any crypto on Robinhood, but I do have stocks, and I think I said this earlier in the stream. My Nancy Pelosi portfolio is up over 100% as of today, and up on the year. What was it? 20% up on the year. So that's not too bad. What is Bridge AI? Bridge has an advanced blockchain powered ecosystem that integrates artificial intelligence to enhance data accessibility, automation, and transparency. The project leverages AI driven solutions to facilitate smart contract execution, centralized data processing, and seamless interactions with Web3 applications. I mean, I just feel like that doesn't tell me a lot. Like that could be, it's one of those things where it sounds very technical and smart, but it's always like, what is that? What does that all do? So I don't know. Interesting anyway, I guess. Community is very bullish, but I think they're bullish on a lot of stuff right now. Well, Bitcoin back over 117,000. I think that's a good place to end things, but I appreciate it is. It's like stocks on easy mode, dude. Pelosi tracker is stock on easy mode. I don't even really follow it that closely. A big part of it is Nvidia, but a lot of the stuff that she buys, they just do well because she's got the inside knowledge. So if like she's got the inside knowledge, just do what she does. And I know some people like serious stock people will be like, well, it's stupid, you shouldn't just do that. It's like, well, it works. Sean asking about ICP. Yeah, I think I've done a little bit of content on ICP. I think it's a very interesting project. One of the questions I had on ICP is when Algorand was talking about native Python, I was like, well, you can code Python in just about every other project on ICP. Every other coding language works on ICP. And the difference that they explained to me is that ICP uses WebAssembly as like an intermediary layer. So Algorand doesn't have that intermediary layer. It's hard to say. And so it's a little bit more direct, and it makes it easier to code. So if you're a Python coder, you can make a project in Algorand pretty easily. And even now, like there's so many no-code tools you can do it without. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. Snail says much love, stay safe and stack. Yep. And I think that's what I'm going to do too, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope everyone had a good day. Congrats to our leaderboard winners. We could share this. Actually, I should, let me refresh this really quick. Hope everyone had a good day. Congrats. Come on. Yeah, Michael Lohr with the top with 125 XP, followed by Ricky Ricardo and Sean Ryan. So congrats to you guys, top 3 for the leaderboard. We'll try to share that more often on YouTube. And thanks everyone for being here. I hope everyone is doing well. Remember, these are the good times. This is the times we're waiting for. I really think this is, I hope I'm not wrong. It's always possible I might be wrong, but I think this is the bull run that we've been waiting for. This is the start of it. So stay safe out there. Sean Ryan says, yeah, thanks very much. God bless y'all. Yep, everyone do well out there. And hey, just enjoy these good times, you know. It's always going to be people that are naysaying, and you know, I think you got to be an optimist because the cost of being a pessimist is too high. Because pessimists never actually do anything, because everything is always bad no matter what. So they don't build, they don't try things. They stay off on the sidelines. And I think it's best to be an optimist. You might be wrong sometimes, but the price of being a pessimist is far greater in my opinion. So anyway, everyone stay safe out there, and I will